So former NBA player Gilbert Arenas says that James Harden isn't to blame for the Clippers' problems. Now, Gilbert Arenas played in the NBA years ago. He played for the Wizards. A lot of people might remember him. Agent Zero was his nickname. And he had a few good games. You know, he had a few good seasons, I say. I never looked at him as a superstar player. I never really liked his game, like talking about. I never really liked him personally in regards to just how he is, the person, listening to him talk. He's just not my type of guy. I don't like what he's made of. I personally think, a lot of his comments, at times are vague, or they just really don't need to be said, honestly. But you can do what you want on your own podcast. I definitely understand that. But my question is, is the comments he made true, to you? And I asked this question because, as you see here, like, he spoke and said that the Clippers sucked before James Harden got there. They were losing the teams they weren't supposed to lose to. And I will say this, in regards to what he say, they did that loss to the Utah Jazz. I thought that was one the Clippers definitely would like to have back. That's one I think they definitely should have won. And even though, like I said, Kawhi and PG are playing pretty good this year. Paul George has, been playing really good, this year so far. It's just not, I don't know. I will say this. I'm not going to say Gilbert Arenas is completely wrong. They were 3-1 at one point in this season, I think. And, it looked like the Clippers were trying to get going a little bit, getting a little chemistry there. But they're, like I said, they should have beat the Lakers, I thought, personally. They let the Lakers really actually win that game. I thought the Clippers really found a way to give the game to the Lakers, because the Clippers really, honestly, they had the better team to me on the floor. And, the way Kawhi Leonard started off that game, 18 points in the first quarter, the highest points he's ever scored in one quarter. You got to find a way to win a game like that, because you got one of your superstars on fire, and Paul George caught fire at the end of that game, in which, maybe they would have won if, Paul George, didn't foul out. But regardless, it doesn't matter. You still have two superstar players on the floor in Westbrook and Kawhi. And, you still have, let's see, Norman Powell, other players, who can score. And you still have the better team to me. And like I said, they should have won that game, but shoulda, woulda, coulda. Oh, well. But my point is, what Gilbert Arenas is saying, what he also was saying was that they're trying to let James Harden be the point guard while Russ is on the floor. That can't happen. They need to let James Harden be the shooting guard, the two. And I will give, Gilbert Arenas some credit there in regards to what he's saying. I don't think James Harden should be the one if Russ is on the floor with him. If Russ is now on the floor with him, then he, has to be the facilitator and things like that, because he's the guy who can pass the ball the best, especially if Russ isn't on the floor. But because Ty Lue is electing to play both of them on the floor and give them substantial minutes almost together, it's gonna make things clustered, for their offense, because it'll basically neutralize Kawhi and or PG at the same time. Or what it's going to do is neutralize their offense, one of each, which means, like, some nights you'll see Kawhi, basically what you've seen, you'll see Kawhi have 26 points. And then he'll have like 14, 15, 16 points, something like that, 17 points. And then you'll see the same thing with Paul George. As Paul George, you saw 3 games in a row, he scored damn near like under 20 points all 3 games. Damn near scored less than double digits one of those games. And then he bursts out with a 26-point game, against the Memphis Grizzlies, but they still lost. But that's my point. Their offense is going to be so up and down because they're trying to, it's like Ty Lue is trying to make James Harden and Russ the point guard at the same time. And it doesn't make sense. And with both of them being on the floor, it doesn't really make sense, because Russ can't stretch the floor. He's not going to shoot threes at a high clip all season long. That catch and shoot is not his game. Catch and shoot is not James Harden's game. That's why a lot of times, or a few times when you've watched the Clippers play, there's been a pass from Kawhi or Russ or PG straight to Harden, and Harden catches the pass and dribbles first and then shoots the three, because he's really not a catch and shoot guy. That's really not his forte. So, I mean, I will say this in regards to what Gilbert Arenas is saying. You know, I'm not going to say the Clippers sucked before then, but I'm going to say that the Clippers, they were playing better before James Harden got here, but they weren't playing their best, is what I would say. Because to me, they could have easily been 4-0. Instead of 3-1 or 3-2, they easily could have been 4 or 5-0 to me. Because of what they had talent wise, and coming into this season, they have something to prove. And you can give or take, go up and down here and there with certain losses and stuff like that. But I mean, regardless, I wouldn't say they sucked, but I just think that Gilbert Arenas really doesn't like the Clippers. So, I mean, I think that's more so the reason why he took that approach. But, like I said, they weren't playing as good as they could, but they were playing better before James Harden got there. And I'm not going to let James Harden off the hook just because Gilbert Arenas did. And I'm going to say this, James Harden, the package that he comes with offensively, it can be good for the Clippers. But as I said before, sacrificing defense for offense in regards to what the trade they made, it really can come back to hurt the Clippers. And I really think it's going to, because like I said, when I think about, there's like 6 or 7 teams in the West that honestly I could say that's playing better than the Clippers right now. And like I said, the Clippers don't need to find themselves no playing tournament, especially with guys like that they have that are injury prone and all these things. The Clippers just got to find a way to put it together. I mean, I don't know if they're going to put it together in regards to winning a championship. Will they put it together in regards to being a more formidable team, possibly making it to the playoffs and, trying to see what happens from there? Yeah, I think they can do that. But winning a championship, they are so far off from that, because you got to understand, adding James Harden is a setback. And not only, I'm not saying it's a setback because James Harden is not the player he used to be. I'm not saying that. It's a setback when you bring in another star player, when you were trying to build chemistry with the players that you had, because your other star players, Kawhi and PG, won't stand healthy enough to do so. Now you're going to bring in another star player after you added Russell Westbrook last year at the end of the season, and trying to get all these guys acclimated on the same page to win a championship, and ask them to do all this sacrificing. And they didn't even start out with James Harden this year. They didn't even come into the season with James Harden. Their whole game plan has to change now because they added a James Harden. Everything they talked about this offseason, Ty Lue said, taking the regular season seriously, all that stuff with the guys they have, they feel comfortable with the personnel they have. All that goes out the window, because now everything changes, because you add another star player to your element, and everybody has to regress. Everybody has to sacrifice, and basically just regress is the word they really should use instead of sacrifice, because now, like I said, where's that leave Terrence Mann? Terrence Mann was going to get a lot more minutes without James Harden being there, and I'm pretty sure he was going to be a lot more productive. I'm pretty sure, because I like what he's made of, and I like the way he plays, and I like his energy, and you can't teach energy. It's just either in you or not. And then on top of that, now I've been reading reports that Bones Highland is going to be out of the rotation for the foreseeable future, in which Ty Lue made that decision, which is not good, because you went into this season, the off season, he was practicing with Kawhi, PG, all them, getting a rhythm with these guys and trying to be a good, decent backup point guard for them who can stretch the floor and knock down threes. And, he is a little razzle dazzle. I'll give you that. He's got a little pizzazz to his game. He's a little, trigger happy and, crazy at times the way he plays. But I definitely think Bones Highland could have contributed highly to this team and gave them another energetic type player like Terrence Mann coming in there and giving them those valuable minutes. And I think he could have grew a lot more with Kawhi and PG as well. But now you stunt his growth, and it's all because of James Harden. And now you got to try to get James Harden on the same page. He has to try to get in game shape, because he looks out of shape to me. He looks fat, loathful to me. I mean, I don't know. Like, you're putting so much on this team to try to win with all these obstacles, and now you got setbacks. I just don't know if it's really going to materialize into a championship. It might. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's going to be very difficult, because, like I said, they basically hit the reset button when they got James Harden. And when you do that, when you pull in players like him and extract other players that was trying to build chemistry, it really makes it a harder road to win a championship. But it's my take on everything.